Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and this is the best of the live shows. I got a really interesting question from someone who's in the video game industry, and they are a manager in the video game industry, and they, or at least they're a project manager or something like that. I'm not 100% sure of their position. But they came to me and said, "Hey, Marky, I know you've had employees before. How do I fire someone?" And so I asked one really simple question, because it really makes a difference. And that is, are you letting them go because of budget cuts, or are you letting them go because they're not doing their job? And because it makes a difference between the two. And so the difference is that if you are letting someone go because of budget cuts, then it's really pretty easy. I mean, yeah, you know, especially if you make friends with the people and everything, it can be difficult. But the fact is that everybody understands when it is a matter of having to let someone go because the money is running out. And when the money runs out, that is it's very understandable. So, but when it's a matter of fact that the people are not doing a good job, it's a whole different story. And here's my philosophy on that, is that I have in the past, I have had people on staff that really needed to step it up, that were not doing a good enough job. They just weren't doing what was needed and wanted for the company and weren't pulling their weight. And no matter how much I liked them, a change needed to be made. Either they needed to shape up or they needed to ship out. And I remember at one point we let one of our people go because he was raiding so much in World of Warcraft and was staying up really late all the time and was having trouble getting to work on time. And you know, if somebody is late to work or something like that, I don't give them too much crap. But if they're consistently late, then it's a bigger deal. But every once in a while, all of us encounter traffic that was unexpected, or you know, get a flat tire on the way to work, or you're riding the train or the bus and there's some problem with it. That happens to all of us. But this guy was pretty consistently late, and so I ended up having to let him go, even though I really, really liked the guy, and I felt really bad because he was married to someone who is not a U.S. citizen, and part of the contract for her to become a citizen was that he had to keep steady employment and everything, and in this marketplace, in this economy, it was very difficult to find another job. And so he was very worried about that. Now, that was a very personal concern of his, and a very valid one. Well, the fact is, though, is that he wasn't pulling his weight, and by not being there on time and everything. And so there's another way of looking at this, and there's a really great book that is From Good to Great. And it talks about how to take a company from just a good company into something of greatness. You know, I've talked about like the War Z has a potential for greatness. If they can get their shit together, my God, that could be just a great, great game. But the fact is that that when you are not pulling your weight at work, you need to be let go. And so the way to do that is really to just be blunt. And there are some things about that too, which is that if you are going to let someone go, if they have a lot of sensitive access to things, you need to cut that access while they're on their way into work. and or you cut their access while they're out to lunch or whatever, and as soon as they leave for lunch, you cut the access, and then when they come back, you talk to them and let them go. It can be very nerve-wracking for yourself personally to let someone go, especially if you like them. But the fact is, this is business, and the business is a living entity in itself. And if the business is not doing okay, then it has to be fixed. And so you have to do it. And it is okay to tell the people what they are not doing correctly. And it's not okay to, though, to get really emotional about it and stuff. And they may be very emotional, but you got to remain steady. So, anyway, that is my advice to you. I hope that you can use that in your actions that you need to take here in a couple of days. Hello, Brian. You're on the air.
Hello, Marcus.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
So, Brian, what's on your mind today?
On my mind, I think we discussed about it already. The firing thing of the 2 employees.
Well, I didn't want to give anything away. I don't want your team watching and then wondering who's going to get the axe.
Yeah, but it's a really hard decision, I must say. It's a really hard thing to do that in my age,
Mm-hmm.
And even you mentioned it already that they are friends. It's a bit harder to kick them out of the company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think that we should discuss at all what their shortfalls are in public. But just for yourself, what is your concern about letting them go?
I really disagree that option that my boss was deciding, and normally I wouldn't hire people with a 6-month contract and then I fire them 2 months. After 2 months, it's not a big deal, I think, and not a good deal at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, and of course, since you have a boss above you and you're not like the owner of the company, it's not your decision. If they tell you to do that, you may object and fight a bit on their behalf. But if they state their case and they say they want them gone, then you got to do it. The good thing about this kind of situation, though, is that especially if you're friendly with them, it is not you making the decision. It is you just being the bearer of bad news.
Okay.
And so that that lightens the stress between you and them. They're still going to be pissed, no doubt. And they may be mad at you for being the bearer of the news, but they won't take it as personal from you.
Okay. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yes. Well,
hopefully.
I've had some people. We let them go. It worked out well, and others not. And so in some cases, I always try and be very calm. I keep my tone even the whole way. Even if they start escalating their voice or whatever, I will keep my tone the same the entire way. And that'll bring them back up if they're like crying or something like that, or it'll bring them back down if they're angry by just staying at the same tone. So, so some of them, just walk out the door. You need to escort them to back to their desk, and they're very offended that you're there watching over them as they pick up their stuff to go. But that is part of the process. It's not, when someone's leaving, here's the issue, is that they can do a lot of destruction on their way out. And so if they do destruction on their way out, then you need to mitigate that. That can't happen. And
I understand.
Yeah, and so you stick with them, walk them out the door. One time we had one guy who we fired for. We let him go with. Let's see here. Let's see. Add to conference call. Okay, I just added Jessa in. Jessa, go ahead and mute your mic for a moment. And Brian, so we let the person go, and we let him go for drug use. And so he was he was smoking pot right before he'd come into work, and he did good job, but we had to let him go because we didn't allow that. And so but he stormed back in to the office after we escorted him out. About 5 minutes later, he just stormed in, and I saw him coming in on security cameras, and he went straight through all the offices. And if I remember right, he knocked over a plant or something like that, and he went all the way back into the break room, and you could hear him slamming stuff around in there. And I'm like, holy shit, and I'm running out there and stuff, and walk in there, and the cupboards are all open. There's some stuff on the floor, and he's holding a coffee mug. He says, "I forgot my coffee cup."
Okay. Okay.
And then he walked out. But we were like going, "Oh, holy cow! Did he come back in with guns, or what's going on?" So it was kind of humorous. So okay. So Brian, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for your call.
No problem.
And take care.
Take care.
Okay. Bye. Now that you've made it this far, can I interest you in another video? In the upper left, I talk about the future of translation. You remember Star Trek? You remember, of course you remember Star Trek. You know what it is. The communicator badges? I think that those are going to become reality in the next 10 years. We won't have necessarily starships that we're communicating with, but it will do the translations, like was shown in the TV series. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's my prediction. I'm talking about it there. So in the upper right, what the fast? This is an older video. Look at that. I have hair. And in that video, I actually show how what the fast works and why it is so good for anyone who is playing like a Twitch-based game that has any lag, or even not a Twitch-based game but you have extreme lag. This can help because it actually makes a more direct route for you to get to the game server, thus reducing lag. And I explain how it works there, and in that video also has a link on how to get it, and they now offer 30 days free trial. So you might want to check that out if you have any lag issues. In the lower right, I have a little War Z action there. It's in the dark. That one is kind of hard to see, but you know what? That is when it's most tense. So if you like War Z stuff, check it out. That'll link to my playlist. And then in the lower left, I get all kinds of people who ask me all kinds of entrepreneurial questions. And that one talks about a teenager who's looking to start out. Does he do school? Does he complete school? Does he start working on a job right away? Does he start with making a new company right away? And I try and go through telling about how I got started and what things I would change, and maybe how he can do it better. So, thanks for watching. Enjoy this music on the way out. I'm Marky Dragon. Take care.